What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Today we have some pretty big news to break down for Avengers Doomsday. One, Robert Downey Jr. shared a photo of him on set, but some very particular details may reveal some big details about how Marvel Studios is going to portray Doctor Doom. Then two, it looks like we've gotten some information about a very particular scene in Avengers Doomsday involving Magneto. Now, you might have heard the news yesterday that somebody had been cast as Polaris in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for Doomsday. That has since been debunked to an extent, but people have really misinterpreted this news and aren't seeing what is really happening with Magneto and his children, plural, in Avengers Doomsday. So we'll dive into this scene and then talk about the photo that Robert Downey Jr. revealed and what it means for Doctor Doom. Now, yesterday's news about Polaris being cast in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a little bit confusing. The insider My Time to Shine Hello stated that Neve Campbell had been cast as Polaris. That's all she stated. She didn't say for what project. And then insider Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus came out and seconded it. He confirmed it as well. Then when people started to ask Alex if it was for Doomsday or for perhaps X-Men 97, he stated that Neve Campbell only ever had one voice acting role and that a family reunion would happen in Avengers Doomsday. And for those who may not know, Polaris is the daughter of Magneto. So everyone started to report that Polaris was going to be in Avengers Doomsday and that Neve Campbell had been cast to play Polaris. That is until Beau DeMaio, the writer for X-Men 97 Season 1 and Season 2 mostly, we've heard it's been changed a little bit after Marvel Studios fired him, he came out and confirmed that he hired Neve Campbell to voice Polaris in X-Men 97 Season 2. And you would think that that would debunk Polaris being in Avengers Doomsday, however, it seemingly did not. Now, Beau DeMaio, speaking up, did confirm My Time to Shine Hello scoop that Neve Campbell was cast as Polaris, so she was right on that. However, Alex's part is a little bit different. The reason he seconded the confirmation was because he had heard that Polaris is going to be in Avengers Doomsday, so he states that when he heard the news from My Time to Shine Hello, he assumed Neve Campbell had been cast as Polaris since he heard Polaris was going to be in Avengers Doomsday. So to him, he was partially wrong because this was kind of two different reports fusing into one. But when it was revealed that Neve Campbell was cast for X-Men 97, Alex said, okay, I was wrong, but I have still heard Polaris is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. She's just obviously not going to be played by Neve Campbell. He stated, all right, cool. Polaris is in X-Men 97. So I was wrong about Neve Campbell being Polaris in Doomsday. That's good because now we get a chance for it to be Emma Dumont. Still, I'm standing by Polaris being in Doomsday. So the reality of the situation here is that these two insiders were talking about two different things. Alex had simply heard Polaris is going to be a character in Avengers Doomsday, and My Time to Shine Hello had simply heard Neve Campbell was cast as Polaris. So Alex assumed it was for Doomsday because he heard Polaris was in Doomsday, but it ended up being two different reports. So Alex stands by what he heard, which means that Magneto family reunion scene is still going to be happening, if his report is correct, of course. Now, we already know that Mckellen is going to be one of the more major characters of Avengers Doomsday. And here's the thing, we don't know too much about the universe that the X-Men and the mutants come from. Perhaps in this universe, he does indeed have his daughter, Polaris. But here's where things get really interesting, and they concern the Scarlet Witch, and possibly even Quicksilver. Alex says that there's going to be a family reunion, so we can assume that is the Magneto family since Polaris is the daughter of Magneto. However, for a very long time in Marvel Comics, decades, Magneto had other children. He was the father of the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And we know that for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Magneto was actually supposed to be a part of the Illuminati, or he was supposed to make some type of an appearance. And what we know about what the story would have been with Magneto was that he was going to be the Scarlet Witch's mother. In the 838 universe where the Illuminati exist, he was the father of the Scarlet Witch, and in that universe they were so fearful of her power as the Scarlet Witch that they basically lobotomized her. They got in her brain and basically made it to where she wasn't really that powerful or a threat at all. Now, I don't think the X-Men are from the 838 universe, so I don't think that will really connect with Ian McKellen's Magneto. However, I do think the story of the Scarlet Witch being the daughter of Magneto will play out in some way, shape, or form in Avengers Doomsday. And now Alex Perez is basically stating that as well when he stated family reunion. We've heard a lot about the Scarlet Witch returning either in Avengers Doomsday and or Avengers Secret Wars. We've heard many things like she might originally be on Doctor Doom's side until he becomes God Emperor Doom and she decides to go against him in Secret Wars. We also just recently heard that Magneto is going to go up against Doctor Doom. This is reportedly a fight scene that they are filming right now. And we also just heard a rumor that Doctor Doom is going to be the one to pit the Avengers and the Fantastic Four against the X-Men. He will be the one that gets them to fight. So if the Scarlet Witch does return and she goes up against the X-Men, that could actually be a story plot of why they stop fighting. Perhaps Magneto recognizes his daughter, the Scarlet Witch, or at least her variant. And we don't know the entire team of the X-Men that are going to come to our main Earth 616 universe and interact with the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Quicksilver might be a part of that team, and Polaris as well. And the family reunion could be referring to when the Scarlet Witch arrives and Magneto has all of his children, even if one or some are variants. Now, like I mentioned, we also do have this new photo that Robert Downey Jr. released. Now, it's not too revealing on the surface. A quick glance, you think, well, he's just kind of in between takes on the set of Avengers Doomsday, which is accurate. He's reading a book that Jeremy Renner wrote, the actor who plays Hawkeye. You can see his face on the cover there. And we can tell that Robert Downey Jr. has gotten in pretty good shape to play Doctor Doom. There's also a little Doctor Doom banner kind of hanging off of his trailer there saying, "Do not knock, trust yourself," but notice what's on his face. We can see that there are dots on his face, suggesting that his Doctor Doom mask, or maybe his face, is going to be partially CGI. And either way, whether it's his mask or his face, or both, it does make sense that they would use CGI for this. They did this for his Iron Man mask. This is pretty much the exact same thing that they did. They used motion tracking dots. But this could actually point to his face being scarred and disfigured, which is why he wears the mask. And this has actually been kind of a concern by some fans. Doctor Doom typically is always wearing his mask. Not 100% all the time, but most of the time. However, Marvel Studios isn't paying Robert Downey Jr. all that money to return and simply be hidden under a mask the entire time. So fans were pretty worried that the mask wouldn't come into play, but the CGI motion tracking dots might imply that his face could be disfigured, therefore he will be wearing a mask, a CGI mask, which is why he has the motion tracking dots on his face, to cover up his disfigured face, which is good news. Yes, they are paying Robert Downey Jr. a ton of money, and no, they're not going to hide his face the entire time, but this does imply that at some point in time, he is indeed going to wear the iconic Doctor Doom mask, and of course we are going to get that. It's only a question of how often is Doom going to be wearing the mask in Avengers Doomsday. And what is the backstory? Does he get scarred trying to make a device to communicate with his mother, who is dead, and it explodes and that's what scars his face? Or will he get scarred during Avengers Doomsday and that's when he puts on the mask? That's kind of the most popular theory right now, is that he won't actually be scarred throughout most of Avengers Doomsday, but when he comes in contact and fights with the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, he does win, but he is scarred in the process, and at the very end of Avengers Doomsday, he becomes God Emperor Doom and he puts on the mask. Then in Avengers Secret Wars, he'll be wearing the mask for the vast majority of the time. Either way, these motion tracking dots do tell us that at some point in time he is going to wear this mask. And I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel Studios has something in store for us at San Diego Comic-Con or another big event to give us our full official look at Doctor Doom. Or maybe they'll wait and save it for the trailer, which honestly isn't that far away at this point. We are now less than 1 year away from Avengers Doomsday, so a lot is going to happen within this year. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest Avengers Doomsday news, rumors, or leaks. Let us know what you think about this possible Magneto family reunion scene with the Scarlet Witch, Polaris, and possibly Quicksilver, and let us know your thoughts about Doctor Doom not wearing his mask for a good chunk of time in Avengers Doomsday. Don't forget to like this video, and you can also find us on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.